that I had to be willing to be pruned, I had to be willing to be processed, and I had to be willing to let go of everything that was holding me back.
Can't keep going back to what I used to know.
So before I get into part 3, let me just do this quick aside. Part of why it's important for us to understand these foundational lessons and tools and awarenesses, you cannot build something on a faulty foundation. It does not matter how many degrees you have. It does not matter how many certifications you have. If your foundation is faulty, when I say foundation, I'm talking about your cellular makeup. I'm talking about your identity. I'm talking about, do you even know who you are? Why? Because there is a principle that I learned from a gentleman called Dr. Myron Golden, which is the be, do, have principle. You have to become more, which then requires you to do more so that you can actually have more. But you are doing more things that are in full alignment with the fullness of who you are, the being that you are, the human being that you are. One of the things that God has sent me on a journey to research for myself was the identity of who he called me to be. Because as I mentioned in part 2, I'm not part 2 and part 1, whichever one. I wasn't able to have my company thrive beyond where I was because everything that was attached to me was also a reflection of me at that time in my life. And if I wanted more, I had to become more, which also meant that I had to be willing to be pruned, I had to be willing to be processed, and I had to be willing to let go of everything that was holding me back. This also involved people. That was the hardest thing for me to let go. And I say thing, but that was the hardest part of the letting go process. It was of the people. And when I say the people, that did not mean that I was cutting people off and saying, I'm never talking to you again. What I had to do was I had to establish, yes, boundaries, but also standards of the quality of life that I wanted to live. Also the quality of life that I believe God had already given me, right? A lot of people want promised land, but they don't realize who they have to become in order to walk in and stay in promised land. And God is very clear about when he shares this, when the Bible talks about the story of the Israelites going through their wilderness. Before they could enter in, they had to first then be reminded of all the statutes, all the principles, all the understanding of what was required to go in and what was required to stay. And then if you did not stay, I remember when I read this scripture, which I have to get it and maybe I'll tag it somewhere. When I read this line in scripture that said, if you don't do what I've sent you in there to do, then I will do to you what I thought to do to them. When God said that to the Israelites, he was telling them, if you don't get rid of the enemy that I've already destroyed for you, and if you take on any of their statutes and try to take on any of their customs, I will do to you what I thought to do to them. Let's get back to part 3, but I just wanted to highlight again, if your foundation is faulty, anything you build on it will crumble and it will not stand. Not only will that happen, but you will not be able to go beyond all that you already are. And that will be reflective in your relationships, in your business, in your career, in your health, in your thinking, conversation. It will be reflective in your life in every area that you look. All right, let's get to part 3. I have a little visitor with me for part 3. This little nugget right here. So bear with me. But part 3, how do you know that you're in an environment with people that want to see you thrive? They will make room. They will make room. They have the capacity for you to come in and flourish and blossom and spread your wings, okay? Anytime you are in environments that don't want to see you thrive, they will try to stifle you. They will try to put limitations on you. They will project. They will speak negatively about you, on you, and to you. It's literally, this is what it looks like. So if you want to see the opposite of that, get into an environment that speaks life and encouragement and support over you, that see greatness in you. Now, that does not mean, let me put a little caveat. That does not mean that everyone who strokes your ego with compliments wants to see you thrive, okay? This is why you have to listen to part 1 and 2, because any of these parts cannot be missing. So if you are in an environment where they're encouraging and supportive, but they don't speak truth, They don't stretch you. They don't challenge your foolish thinking. If they're not doing that, then they're not trying to see you thrive. People who want to see you thrive, they doing it because they know what it's like to thrive. People give thriving because they are thriving. People support success because they already are successful. You understand? I hope this makes sense.
Can't keep going back to what I used to know. Love, please hold my hand as I go down this road.